Hi, I'm Kathy Callahan-Brady, and welcome to Fitzy's In the Trenches, and thank you for tuning in. Today we've got a really special guest. This is Kemp from KempBio, and he is one of our advisors on the Strategic Growth and Advisory Board for our biotech, and thank you so much for doing that.
Oh,
I really appreciate it. Yeah, and In the Trenches is one of those opportunities where our local ecosystem gets the opportunity to really get to know you a little bit better versus those quick meetings that we have, which we just had one actually, so very, very good. We wanted to know a little bit more about Chris and a little bit more about KempBio. How'd you get there? Tell us a little bit about that company and what inspired you to start it.
Actually, I think the inspiration to have a company comes from my genetics. Because my father was, my grandfather were independent house builders in the 30s, 40s, 50s. And so, you know, they always had their own in businesses. And I was the first person in my family to break the tradition of being a builder. And in the classical sense of building houses and things. And I remember I was very nervous to tell my father that I didn't want to go into construction, that I wanted to go into biology, into science. And I was probably 8th grade. And he was so happy.
Really?
Yeah, he really was. He was really happy for, for me that I had decided to go a different route.
But why did you decide to go to a different route? Did you dissect a frog or something?
Actually, it was a punishment.
Serious?
Yeah. I was not the nicest student. And
do you need to apologize to your teachers or something?
Probably. I remember going to the guidance counselor and telling him that health class was wasting my time. That I already knew all that stuff. So,
boy.
So I was sentenced to the biology department, and the first time I smelled auger, it was like love. So I knew exactly what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a microbiologist, and so I got a bachelor's in microbiology, and went on from there. So, but where I came from is I'm native. I've been in this area my entire life. My family's been here since the 18th century, and so Kemp's been around for a long time. But I went to University of Maryland, College Park. Started working at NIH on a program called Stay in School, which was for financially challenged students, and got a job at NIH when I graduated, and stayed there for 10 years and learned fermentation. So we were working on vaccines. And then after I got my PhD at NIH, it was a cooperative program with GW. They said, welcome to the postdoctoral fellowship program. You have to give up your civil service position, take a $2,000 a year cut. I only made $9. and go into the postdoctoral fellowship program. I had 2 kids. So I said, sorry, I can't do that. So I went into industry and went out to Walkersville and worked at Bio Whitaker for 7 years. And that's where I met Pat. And there I learned cell culture. And so I had these 2 guys that were following me around for a number of years, and they always wanted me to start something, start a company. And I liked the idea. And so finally, after 7 years at Bio Whitaker, I said, yeah, let's do it. And so we started KempBio Technologies in '92, and I had a telephone, a freezer, and that was and a desk. And that was pretty much it. I'm not sure why I had the freezer, but they had an extra one, so they gave it to me.
Okay.
So we started making diagnostic antigens for and using insect cells, which was relatively new at that time, and grew that company over 14 years to about 50 people. Moved to Frederick in '93. Started a second company in 2000 called Gene Choice, and that was a molecular biology product company that used the infrastructure from KempBio Technologies to make those products. It was a really nice synergy between the 2 companies. And like I said, I was just a scientist, so I didn't have the money to put in. So I had a minority share in the company. And 2006 came along. The guys that had started helped me start the 2 companies, they were ready to get out. And so companies were sold to a private venture group, and that didn't go well. So that company, the KempBio Technologies, ended up shutting down in 2007. I went and did something different for a year. And then we had one more kid to get through college, So that's when we went and found Fitzy. And I'd known about Fitzy when I was at KempBio Technologies because we had done some collaborations with Fitzy. And, but Pat and I applied at Fitzy and got in, and we spent 3.5 years there. And that was instrumental. I mean, there was no way that we could have started KempBio without that support. What it did was it allowed us to focus on the business and building up the clientele to the point where we could sign a 7-year lease for a build out on a laboratory and still sleep at night. And
get the third kid through college.
Yeah, and get Sarah through college. So, you know, it was really good. And we learned so much, you know, how to talk to bankers, you know, how to interact with other people that are they're scientists but not necessarily in our field. You know, there were people at Fitzy that were helping us with data management, you know, who had their own businesses. We met lasting relationships for customers with IBT, with Peter and Arena at Medigen. You know, we still do collaborations with them. So it was a really great experience, and took us 3.5 years to get to the point where we could build out. So we did the build out there. But so all along, from '92 all the way to now, what we've been interested in doing is producing proteins for people that they need. And it's all custom work. So we do a lot of what's called gene to protein. And so a lot of our projects start with, you know, letters on a page, which is the amino acid sequence of the protein that the person's interested in. And then we'll have those genes, we'll design the constructs, have the genes made, and put them into either mammalian or insect cells, and produce those proteins for use in preclinical applications. But we're working on all sorts of different things, and it's so much fun because you're never bored. You're always on a learning curve, always trying to come up to speed with the customers, and a lot of times that's really difficult. But it's challenging, and challenges is kind of what we like. But so now we've got 12 people, and we're actually building out in January. We're going from 3,000 square feet to 9,000 square feet. Just luckily right next door to where we are, so we don't have to actually move the facility.
Yeah.
So the company over the next 5 years will grow significantly, and we have major plans. So that's exciting.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it really is. So, and Sarah's through college, which is also exciting.
Yes.
So we've achieved that goal. But you know, I think what drives me is I always enjoyed being in service. I enjoy service. I get bored making the same thing over and over and over and over again.
I get that.
And so products have never been that attractive to me. But service is fantastic because it's so many different things. You know, we're working on vaccines, we're working on cancer immunotherapeutics, we're working on, you know, just all sorts of different applications of proteins in biotech. And that keeps us going.
I think I have such an appreciation for biotech, and maybe it's because of the position that I'm in, but I've got to see so many different people and what they're doing. And I think if you're not in this field and not around it, you just don't realize what's happening to the healthcare industry because of scientists and the new diagnostics and the new approaches. It's amazing. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
So since it's in the trenches, right before we got on air, we started having a conversation, which I thought was very interesting, because most of our entrepreneurs realize how difficult it is to start a business. It is very challenging. I had somebody text me, in quote, "Startups are hard." And that's how he started the email message. I said, boy, yes, they are.
They are. Yeah.
So as advisors and people have kind of gone before them, we're always trying to give them, you know, advice. Don't do this. This was painful. This kind of hurt. And anyone who's successful has lots of failures underneath them. Is there any that you can share with the audience that, you know, here's something to look out for. Here's you know, something that you went through that was painful.
Yeah, I think the most painful thing that I've been through was when the original Kemp Biotechnology shut down, because we had, you know, 45, 50 people, and, you know, all of a sudden I had to stand up and tell them that, you know, we were shutting down, and really what that was, you know, losing control of you're losing control of the company to a group that doesn't understand the company. or even the business that you're in. And that was the situation I was in, and that was extremely painful.
Yeah.
You know, everybody found a job, which was good. You know, it was lucky it happened in 2007 and not in 2008.
Right.
But, you know, and everybody went and they had good work experiences, and actually we were able to hire some of them back for KempBio. But just to look in somebody's face that you've been working with for 10 years and say, hey, you know, we're not going into the next year.
Yeah, that is really hard.
Yeah, it was hard. That was very hard.
And you know, I think that's every entrepreneur's greatest fear, especially when they're raising money, and most of them have to raise money, is am I going to lose control over my business, the thing that I love,
Right.
that I've worked so hard
And
for.
you know, I think it's okay to lose control of the business if it's to the right group. And it's got to be the right group. And it's hard to tell exactly what the right group is.
Well, that's for sure.
And that, you know, so it's if you've got the right group, then that could be a really positive thing. And then it's okay to, you know, if you're letting go of some of your equity in order to make that happen, then I think that's good. What happened to us was, you know, the first group in the private venture really did understand what we did. They said, "You're fantastic. You've got a view directly into what large pharma is doing from a research standpoint. I mean, you're on the front lines with them, and so you have a view of what tools they need, you know, for doing the work that they're doing. And so we can look at that and we can develop those tools, and then that just keeps growing. And that was a great model. But they made promises to the group that they couldn't keep. And so, you know, it's a brutal world, and they all disappeared on a Friday. And the next group came in, and they were totally opposite. You know, it was 180 degrees. It was, you're a service company? What? We don't want a service company.
We want products.
Yeah, we want products. You know, so listen, I tell you what, you know, you got 3 months, sell the company or shut it down.
Wow.
And that was harsh. It was really harsh. So anyway, you know, we picked up and started again, and this one's doing well, and we're enjoying it.
Yeah,
It's nice having it smaller.
Yeah.
You know, having 10 people is good, but startup phase is my favorite
Mine too.
because every single decision that you make is like critical. It's life and death, you know. If you
Well,
screw
for sure.
up, you're gone.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a little, a little severe, but it's true.
It is
you
true.
can really make the wrong decision. You can just you're done.
Yeah.
So I really like that first 6 months, year of companies. It's a lot of fun. I will never do it again, ever.
Yeah. Don't say never. I've said that before too.
I've got my medication now. I'll continue to take it. No, I'm done.
Well, thank you for everything that you do. You bring such good advice to all of our entrepreneurs and stuff. You bring up really good points. I think one of the next individuals we're going to be interviewing here pretty soon is from the venture capital world, and that's his entire life, which I always really appreciate because without the capital, these guys can't grow.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's so many business models that rely on venture capital that really need it.
Yeah.
And ours just happens to not be one of them.
Yay. This one.
It's a slow growth model, and you know, we're bootstrappers, so you know we came up on our own money, and you know there's advantages and disadvantages to that. The big disadvantage is cash flow.
Yeah.
You know, and we've been through situations where you know we're really really tight, but usually those are the situations where we're growing. You know, it's when we're cash rich that we start to worry because well, we're not spending our money on materials and stuff, so that means we don't have any work. But and that's a hard concept to get across to a banker. But you know, well, you don't have any money. Yeah, of course we don't have any money because we're spending
growing.
it on materials. We're growing. It's a really difficult concept to get through. But I say it again. I mean, there is no way that Pat and I could have done what we've done with KempBio. And you know the 12 people that we've got in the organization, the new ones that we'll be hiring, you know the build out and all that. If it hadn't been for Fitzy,
Well,
there was
thank
no
you.
way that we would have started without Fitzy.
Well, thank you.
You know, it was a really great supportive place, and it, like I said, it gave us the stable foundation on which to build the company.
Wow. Well, thank you. We're excited. We've got 15-year anniversary coming up,
I
so
know.
we're going to try and gather everybody up and bring the whole ecosystem back together again, just as a big party and celebration, so we don't lose touch either, because those connections, like you said, are just critical.
They really
Yeah.
are. They really are. I mean, some of the connections we've made there, they're good customers of ours now, and you know, they've moved a couple to different places and taken us with them.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one of the ways that our company grows the best is by word of mouth.
Yep. I agree.
And, so it's you know, it's really valuable.
Great place to do it here in Frederick. So we have to wrap it up, but is there any piece of advice? Is there a quote, a book? Is there anything that you'd like to leave with our entrepreneurs?
I think one of the guys that helped me start the company in '92, his name is Harry Skull, and he was fantastic. He's gone now, but he taught me a lot of things about business, and he was something else. But one of the things that Harry used to say is that he says, you know, I don't invest in the stock market. I invest in myself. And he's so right. You know, if you've got a dream and you've got, you know, you've got the confidence in yourself and in what you're doing, invest in yourself. Because I think investing in yourself pays back manyfold. So
are you then saying that every startup that goes in, they have 100% confidence in themselves and the business?
Oh no! I mean, it's like swimming.
I set you up for that.
Yeah. No, it's like you have 100% confidence that you're going to jump into ice water.
Yeah, I had somebody, one of the reception at the front desk said to me at one point, "Why are these entrepreneurs so moody? I mean, it's like up and down, up and down." I went, "That's called the entrepreneurial journey." I mean, there's just times where you're wondering whether you're going to be able to pay the mortgage or the car or
Yeah. Sometimes it gets so bad that you go home and you can't even talk.
Yeah.
You know, just sit there. And Pat understands that now. She knows it's not personal. She just tomorrow's another day. You know,
Exactly.
But on that, you know, those days you come home and you're just like, and it's funny because none of my kids have followed, even into biology or into biotech. They're technology people. Adam's teaches technology, and you know, Benjamin's an IT guy, and Sarah's industrial design, but I think they all saw, you know, what it takes to do what we do, and you know, smart of them. They said,
stay away.
Not for me.
Exactly. Well, thank you again for
Thank
everything
you.
that you do. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching In the Trenches. And you can find out more in terms of who we're interviewing and get to know our advisors so much better at fitzy.org. Thanks.